Hey there guys, Harry Cricket 3 here and welcome to my reactions to my 2024-2025 Premier League predictions. Okay, so starting off with the bottom four I predicted is actually not bad. So in last place I went with Leicester. I did think they would be the best out of the promoted teams, but I thought they would be hit by the points deduction, which didn't actually end up happening, and they did actually end up finishing 18th instead of 20th like I thought they would. Ipswich did finish above Southampton, but they did go down, but none of them were in the right position. I think all three teams did struggle a little bit, just in terms of defensive versus attacking ratio. I think that's something that teams are going to have to figure out next season. Either you have to come in really, really defensively solid and hope for goals in key moments. That's something that Leicester had the best out of the three of them. Ipswich proved themselves against the big teams, alright, but I thought they were in general quite poor. Southampton, I mean, the decision to keep Russell Martin as long as they did was a really poor decision. And then they brought in the new manager who didn't really have any big input, but I think they'll be back up very soon. So yeah, the three teams were very easy to beat, and it's disappointing that three teams who came up went down again, but no real reward for me here because I think everyone predicted them three to go down. But in 17th, I won with Wolves and they ended up finishing 16th, so I was only one place off here. I thought they would be the worst out of all the teams that were currently in the Premier League. I thought that the loss of Max Kilman and Pedro Neto would really hit them, and it did a little bit. But with the new manager Vitor Pereira, they were absolutely outstanding. They found some really good form. Matheus Cunha was their best player, one of the best players in this Premier League by quite a bit. It looks like he's going to go to Man United. I thought their midfield was actually quite good, and defensively they improved a lot as soon as Vitor Pereira came in. So well done to Wolves. But general bottom four, not too bad. Okay, so the next three teams I predicted all did actually finish around the same positions as each other, but nowhere near where I thought they would. It was Brentford, Fulham and Bournemouth. Brentford ended up finishing 10th. Fulham finished 11th and Bournemouth finished 9th. I thought Brentford would really struggle to score goals at key moments, but to get Johan Visser on 19 and to get Brian Mbeumo on 20 goals proved that they don't need Ivan Toney, because Thomas Frank is the genius of a manager. And I guess I just had them kind of low because I thought defensively they looked really weak, and I kind of expected them to underperform the XG again, but this time I think they actually did finish where expected points had them. So for once, Brentford have performed as they're meant to, so well done to them. Fulham, I thought Joao Palhinha's loss would be quite big, but actually I thought Sasha Lukic was very good. Harrison Reed, when he stepped in, was very good. They worked really well as a team. Sander Berger was outstanding as well for them. And their attack had some really promising moments of the season. Raul Jimenez found his form. Andres Pereira was outstanding. Alex Iwobi was really good. Yeah, it was a good season for Fulham overall. Marcus Silva had a really good job. And Bournemouth, they did quite well as well. They reached the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. They were fighting in between 5th and kind of 10th throughout the whole season, but in the end they ended up finishing just short of the European spots in 9th. But it was a very, very good season. Antoine Semenyo was really good. Justin Cliver had form where he was about the best player in the Premier League for about a month or so. The defence was good. Dean Howson's guys moved to Real Madrid. Milos Kerkez looks like he's coming to Liverpool. They're going to lose a lot of players, so I'm really intrigued to see what happens next season with Bournemouth. But the key loss would be their manager, Andoni Iraola. I said he would be good, and he was good for them. So well done, Bournemouth. They finished a lot better than I expected them to, and they deserve credit for that. Now, Nottingham Forest. I think I actually did okay with this one. Yes, they did not finish anybody at 13th. They finished 7th in the end, just missing out on European football, which is such a shame considering they were 3rd for about 75% of the season. But I did say very clearly, I think this is the most settled their squad's ever going to be. And, you know, I thought that they didn't make that many transfers. They brought in Milenkovic, they brought in the keeper Matt Sells. But once they actually all settled, they became a unit. I thought they would. I just didn't expect them to do as well as they did. And well done to them. Chris Wood, outstanding. Elanga was really good. Morgan Gibbs-White was good. Their defence really stepped up. Milenkovic was one of the best players of the season, as was his partner Murillo, their goalkeeper Matt Sells. Both fullbacks were good as well. It was a really, really promising season. And they've got European Conference League next season. But it was a real miss for them. They could have easily got Champions League and they missed out. So unlucky Forest, but Nuno Espirito Santo, great job. A real mix up with the boss there at the end, but I'm intrigued to see if he stays or goes. But that one was hugely wrong from me. Now 12th and 11th are the rivals, Brighton and Crystal Palace. Brighton ended up finishing the season so strong and reaching 8th, which I don't know if that gets them Europe. I think there might be some rule where Chelsea, if they win tonight, they get Europe. But well done to Brighton. They were really up and down the whole season. They got smashed by Forest 7-0 at the City Ground. But They had some really good results. They beat Liverpool, they beat Man United, they got a draw at, they got 2 draws at Arsenal, I think, actually. They beat Man City, they beat Spurs. Really, it was a really, really good season for Fabian Hurtzler, considering it's his first season, considering he's the youngest manager of the Premier League. That's why I had them slightly low. I didn't expect too many great things. I just thought they would settle well because they are Brighton and they know what they're doing. But to finish 8th is really, really good performance. I thought Pascal Gross leaving would be a huge loss, and they recovered that well. And they had some new creative forces coming in throughout the season. So well done to Brighton. At Crystal Palace, they finished a position lower in 12th. However, they won the FA Cup. I don't think they care where they finished. They won a trophy for the first time in their history. And well done to Crystal Palace because it was a really good ending. And they seem to be just the second half FC of every single year. They struggle at the start. They find their form midway through. Then at the end, they turn into Man City for the last few weeks. Happened under Roy Hodgson. It happened under Glasner last season. Happened under Glasner this season. Yeah, well done to them. I'm not sure what's going to happen transfer business-wise. Eze might leave, possibly. I genuinely think Man United or Chelsea could look at a striker like Jean-Philippe Mateta. He's such a good forward to have. I think Chelsea, they're obviously going for younger forwards. But Man United, while Højlund and while Xerxes develop or while someone else develops, bring in Mateta. I think it'll be a really, really smart signing because he's an amazing forward. In midfield, Adam Wharton could look to leave, possibly. Margehi could leave. I think Tyrick Mitchell's contract is sorted now, but he could possibly leave. But yeah, it's been a very, very good season for Palace. Finished 12th, won the FA Cup, so well done to them. Okay, so 10th and 9th are 2 teams that have really let me down. It's Everton and it's West Ham. Everton, I thought that because it's the last season at the Goodison Park, I thought, you know what, they're going to go firing, they're going to win every single home game. That didn't quite end up being the case. Near the end, they did find their form. But under Sean Dyche, they really struggled at the start. They were expected, I think, to finish roughly 10th or 9th the previous season on expected points. I think they actually, no, it wasn't even expected points. I think that's where they should have finished if it wasn't for the point deduction. That's why I had them there again. But no, they didn't reach that level of points this time. Under David Moyes, it was a lot better. Beto found his form. And yeah, they were okay near the end. But still, there's signs of improvement there to be had. I'm intrigued to see what they do summer transfer business-wise because it's a new season, it's a new stadium, and the stadium looks beautiful. So it'll be really intrigued to see where Everton go. And West Ham, they made so many signings at the start of the season. I think everyone expected big things. I didn't expect as much as some people did, because some people had them in the top 6, top 7, which I thought was too much. But 9th, I thought was realistic for a Lopetegui team. Lopetegui flopped. He was really, really poor. They should have got rid of him a lot sooner. I think that win against Wolves kept him in for slightly longer than he should have. They brought in Graham Potter, who hasn't been too great so far, but I think he's a good manager. I think he'll settle in with the squad soon, and I'm intrigued to see what they do next season because I think there'll be a big change at West Ham. I think possibly Mohamed Kudus could leave, Paqueta could leave. Some of their defenders could leave. I think Sofal's already leaving. So if they sell Thomas Soucek, I think it's a problem. It looks like they will. But I would keep him. I would keep a lot of their main guys. And you have to keep Jared Bowen. And you have to find a forward who wants to score goals for you. You can't just be Mikel Antonio all the time, as well as Jared Bowen. Okay, so next up is a prediction I'm slightly disappointed with. It's Newcastle. Now, the main reason I had Newcastle in 8th was because I had a theory that they're going to sell either one of Anthony Gordon or Bruno Guimaraes before the transfer window finished. That did not happen. That both of them stayed the entire season. So is that a bit of an excuse? Possibly. They kept Isak, they kept Gordon, they kept Guimaraes, and they finished 5th place. They should have probably finished higher, and in the end they had an opportunity to finish 2nd at one point. They lost to Arsenal though, and they lost to Everton at the end as well. But ultimately, they won a Carabao Cup, first trophy in I think 70 years for them. Really impressive year for loads of teams. Really, loads of teams winning a trophy for the first time. I think Stuttgart did, Newcastle did, Crystal Palace did, even Liverpool winning the Premier League 5 years later. Very new things happening. PSG could win the Champions League, but well done Newcastle. Really, really good season for them. I think their midfield 3 is possibly the best in the Premier League. And I know as a Liverpool fan, me saying that's a little bit extreme because our midfield was outstanding this year as well. But every time I've seen any midfield come up against Bruno, Tonali, Joelinton, they're really, really struggling. They just end up being a second slower, second less physical. Don't know what they do, but they do it very well. And I think Eddie Howe is an outstanding coach, especially against the big teams. His thing now is how can he improve the squad to make it a title-winning squad over the next 3-4 years. That's what the project should look at. It should be a case of, okay, we're back in the Champions League now, let's compete. Let's get in the Champions League again. Let's do well in the Champions League next year and finish top 4 again. If they do that, it's amazing. And then from there, they need to give themselves a timeline of possibly until 2029 and say we should be competing for the Premier League by then. The problem with that, however, I think Newcastle have to sell one big player. Due to FFP, but also I think selling a key player to revitalise the squad and have a stronger squad, I think is very key that Newcastle have to learn probably is going to be Bruno Guimaraes. Alexander Isak could leave as well in the next few seasons. If you sell Isak and then you bring in someone who's a bit younger, like even a Jonathan David, and he could produce somewhat of the same numbers, maybe slightly less, you could be okay if you can strengthen a whole load of positions as well. Newcastle have to look at that. But well done to them. They finished fifth, which is 3 places higher than I thought they would. Okay, so in seventh place, it was Chelsea. And Chelsea did very well near the end of the season, actually. They finished top 4. They were in a title race, really, up to December. Then they just flopped. They lost to Fulham. I think they lost at Ipswich. They really struggled with a few fixtures. And then slowly but surely they got themselves back at the end of the season. I think Enzo Maresca kind of got used to the squad eventually. He picked some key players that he knew were talented enough to stay in the team for the next few years. And he kind of slowly got rid of the ones that he wasn't planning on using at all. It looks like they're going to win the Conference League. They should win it tonight. Are they the 4th best team in England right now? I don't think so. But to get a 4th place is impressive. And where would I improve the squad? That's the real question. Cole Palmer is your key player. You have to build the squad around him. I would sell a few players who are either too injury prone or not providing enough. I think one of those players is probably Reece James. Even though he's a captain, that's going to sound insane, I know. I think you could get a right back in who could do a similar job to Reece James that's actually fit, because availability is very important. And instead of just having a guy because he's so talented but he's never available, you're going to make the same mistake Man United did for years with Luke Shaw. And don't do that, Chelsea. You're smarter than that. Go and get young players, that's fine, but buy smartly and buy the players who aren't available for you right now. And Reece James is unfortunately one of them. So that's probably where I'd go. But Chelsea, very good season for them. And finally, we have got one spot on. In 6th, I went with Aston Villa. And should they have finished 6th? Probably not. They probably could have gone 5th if that goal was allowed against Manchester United on Sunday. Newcastle ended up getting the last spot in the Champions League. It could have been Villa's. Villa were outstanding in the Champions League this year. They beat PSG at home. They just got knocked out by 1 goal or goal difference, unfortunately. Unai Emery really proved himself as a coach this year. The squad wasn't as big as last year's squad, probably. I think the fact that they lost Douglas Luiz, I thought that would impact them more than it did, and I think they recovered very well from that. Tielemans was outstanding this season. Slightly less on Ollie Watkins, but the real best player for them this season, I think no Villa fan will disagree with me here, was Morgan Rogers. He was absolutely class from minute 1. Really proved himself. And I genuinely think, before the Florian Wirtz news came in at Liverpool that he was going to join, and it looks like he will join this week, I thought Morgan Rogers should come to Liverpool. I thought he's the perfect kind of guy we want in that 10 role. Szoboszlai does all the running, but if we want numbers, Morgan Rogers could be the guy, and he can run as well. But Florian Wirtz is the guy we've gone for, which is obviously amazing. I think people would accept that over Morgan Rogers any day. But he was outstanding. Their defence was good. Emi Martinez, that incident at the end, don't know where he's going to be next year. But unlucky Emery. You can sue the PGMOL happily, because I would back that 100%. It's a shame, but they just finished short of Champions League. Okay, so 5th and 4th. Yeah, Manchester United in 5th place. They finished 15th, 10 places off. Tottenham in 4th. They finished 17th. I was 13 places off with Tottenham. I mean, if anyone put their hand up and said to me, Tottenham are going to finish lower than 10th, I'd be shocked. I'd love to see some evidence. Could I have predicted it better? Possibly, because Tottenham didn't end the previous season so well, so I could have probably put them a little bit lower. I did originally. I remember when I predicted the video back in August, I was kind of loitering around Chelsea, Newcastle, United, Tottenham, mixing them up around there. I had Chelsea really high, then I dropped them a bit lower. I had Newcastle about 4th. The only reason I put Newcastle low was because I thought they'd sell a key player. They didn't do that. Did I expect Tottenham to crash like they did? No chance. They were very injury hit, yes. But Ange Postecoglou, even though, yes, he's won a trophy, and well done to them, they finally won a trophy in my football watching career, I guess. But I don't think he should be the Spurs manager anymore. I know he's deserved the right to. They'll keep him in the job for sure. I think Tottenham could easily push on further if they get rid of Ange. And that is just because he is too one-dimensional. He has to mix up his style a bit. I think Thomas Frank is on the market. You could go get Thomas Frank right now, and I think he would do a very, very good job. I've said this before. I think Thomas Frank is the most similar heir to Jurgen Klopp we've had, in that he's very good with the press. He's very good with his players. He gets the best out of players. He buys for low, makes them into superstars. Very Jurgen Klopp-esque. More than anything, Jurgen Klopp obviously was about high pressing, all this stuff. One thing that Thomas Frank was similar for, that Jurgen Klopp was at Mainz, is that he has loads of ways to set up against the big teams. Thomas Frank is really, really good at that. Yes, at Spurs, you would be a big team. You have to think of ways to attack. I think he has that in him. I really do. I think he's an outstanding manager. I think you have to give him a chance. And I think Spurs should take that chance. They've got the squad too. They've got young players. They've got some experienced heads there to be in the squad as well. I'm intrigued to see what happens. I think Romero might leave. They have to build a squad kind of around people like Bergvall, around Brennan Johnson, Solanke. And Man United, I mean, is there any point even talking about that? They let me down every single year. I need to stop putting them so high. I've given up with them at this point. Bruno Fernandes, really, really good. I do still think Ruben Amorim is a very good coach. And I know I've just said that Ange Postecoglou should get sacked and Amorim should stay. I think he's got it in him. I think he just needs some help. And I think he also needs a media to leave him alone a little bit, which is not going to happen because it's Man United. He can do it. Will he do it? We'll see. There's a really good chance he's out by November. United have to make a decision now. If they're going to keep him, they have to keep him the whole season. They cannot let go of November, bring a new guy in and do it all over. No, it can't happen. You have to sell a lot of deadwood. You probably have to sell Bruno Fernandes. You have to sell Luke Shaw. You have to sell Lindelof. Maybe not Maguire. You have to sell... I mean, I did a video on it. Go watch it. How to fix Man United. There's a lot of mistakes that are there that they need to fix. And then bring in your solution slowly and slowly mould it. And say to yourself, Man United, the year is currently 2025. By 2030, we're going to be pushing for the Premier League. Make it a 5-year project and work on it slowly. And it can happen. But now, let's move on to the top 3. Okay, so in 3rd place, I went with my club, Liverpool. Now, I have said that in pre-season, we were the best team. Yes, I watched my team over other teams, but we were beating everyone. We looked really resolute defensively. We looked less open. These are all things I've pointed out in the video. And I did say there's a chance we could have a title charger if specifically we bought DM. That didn't happen in the end. But Ryan Gravenberch, oh my god, what a season he had. Alexis McAllister, outstanding. Szoboszlai put in the work. Curtis Jones was good. The defence was really solid. I think we had the most clean sheets in the league as a defensive unit. Yes, we could see more goals than Arsenal, but attack-wise, we are a lot better than Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, Chelsea, everyone. We score more goals than everyone. And that's all due to Arne Slot. What a job he did. Mo Salah, absolutely outstanding. Gakpo stepped up. Diaz stepped up in key moments as well. It was a really, really good season. I was 2 places off with us. I thought we'd finish 3rd again, but I thought we'd do well in the Champions League. We finished top of the Champions League group. We won the Premier League, and ultimately we just bottled it at the end. But little bit off with this one, but I'm happy to be wrong with my club if we win the league every year. That's totally fine with me. Okay, so 2nd and 1st, I went with Manchester City in 2nd and Arsenal in 1st. I said very clearly, this is the first time I'm going to predict Man City not to win the Premier League. I was certain that they were not the Premier League favourites this year. I thought that it was just 1 year too many. The thing I kind of compared it to is that not everything is poetic. Mbappe didn't win the Euros with France after going to Real Madrid. I don't think Pep Guardiola would win 5 in a row before he leaves. And he didn't. He signed a contract extension. And ever since that moment, oh my god, it got a bit of a mess. The whole thing with City and Arsenal at the start, where Haaland said stay humble, and then both teams ended up kind of getting done by it. I think it was just ended up being a mess. The big thing though is obviously Rodri's injury. Without Rodri, they struggled a lot. They did not look like a team at all. De Bruyne was really poor at the start. Bernardo Silva had no clue what to do. Haaland struggled. But I did point out that selling Julian Alvarez and replacing him with Savinho and Jeremy Doku would not go well, and it didn't go well at all. They were really poor this season. Yes, they brought it back at the end to finish 3rd in the end, so well done to them. But were they the 3rd best team? Probably. I think unexpected points they were. But they were nowhere near the 1st or 2nd. So Manchester City, they did not win a trophy this year. No FA Cup, no Carabao Cup, nothing. I thought they'd finish 2nd. They finished 3rd. And finally, Arsenal. I thought this would be the perfect season for them. With Man City's drop off, I thought they had the perfect squad to win the league. But no, they kind of let me down a little bit actually. Yes, they're going to blame things like red cards and decisions going not their way. Some of the decisions I do disagree with. I'll admit the Miles Lewis-Kelly red card at Wolves I think was disappointing. Even the Declan Rice one at Brighton was disappointing. But all the other ones, I think are pretty spot on. I don't think you can have any real complaints about them. Especially the Trossard one at City when you've just learned your lesson in the previous match. I think doing that again is pretty silly. And it was definitely a foul and a kick a ball away. So yeah, definitely a red card. And I think they played within themselves a little bit, Arsenal, this year. I still think they had the perfect mix. Like Gary Neville, I think, said in a video once. They had the perfect mix last season. And I'm really surprised they didn't win the league last season. In their first season in the of this Arteta title challenging era, they were really, really, really good attacking wise. They had no defensive work though. Then they found the perfect mix. This year, it's been a case of no attack at all. They've gone way too defensive, and I think they need to change that. They've got about 6 players who could play left back, and yes, one of them really shone this season in Miles Lewis-Skelly, but ultimately it was a really poor season for Arsenal. I think they reached the Champions League semi-finals, which is very good. They beat Real Madrid, which is very good. They had some memorable moments, but losing in the way they did to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, losing to Man United in the FA Cup, losing even to PSG in the Champions League at home, and then losing the Premier League in the way they did. I think ultimately, no trophies. Arteta's under pressure, but I do think they've got to win a trophy next season. I think they will. Their squad is still good. They just need some few tweaks in key positions. Like I said, watch the How to Fix Arsenal video and see if they can win the league next year. But ultimately, overall, what am I going to say about predictions? I only got one team spot on, which was Aston Villa. Spurs and United have made it look really bad. If you just swap Spurs and United with, I don't know, Bournemouth and Fulham, then it looks okay. But that's never going to be the case. And I'm a little bit scared to do next year's predictions because this year proved that the Premier League is not unpredictable, it's competitive. And I love that about the Premier League. So well done to the Premier League for being entertaining once again. And well done to my team, Liverpool, for winning it. But before we end, let's have a look at who I predicted to win all the awards this season and who actually won them. So, the Golden Boot was not won by Erling Haaland, it was actually won by Mohamed Salah. He was top scorer since pretty much week 1. He looked really, really good the whole season. And near the end, he kind of dropped off a little bit, and he had the opportunity to break 30 goals, which he just missed out on, hitting 29. But, I mean, Mo Salah, what a season. He signed his contract. There's more goals to come from him. Although I do think a Liverpool signed a striker, maybe his goal tally would slowly decrease. So obviously, I thought Arsenal would win the league. Odegaard would get most assists. But no, once again, it was Mohamed Salah who got the most assists. He got the best playmaker award. And, I mean, just what a season he had. I think player of the season by a country mile. That I got wrong as well. Martin Odegaard, I thought would win player of the season. But no, Salah, top scorer and top assist. It has to be Mo Salah who got player of the season. In terms of young player of the season, this is a shocking prediction because I thought Harvey Elliott would start a lot for Liverpool. In the end, he started about 2 games, I think. I thought in pre-season he looked very good, but clearly after the injury, Arne Slot didn't really fancy him that much because he barely played him. He came on in key impacting moments like PSG, the Champions League, but Szoboszlai was outstanding the whole season, so there was no point Arne Slot was ever going to switch them to. And yeah, it was a poor season for Harvey Elliott, and I'm really intrigued to see whether he stays or goes next season. But Liverpool won the league, and when Arne Slot knows what he's doing, you kind of just got to respect that, really. And in the end, the actual Young Player of the Season award went to Ryan Gravenberch, although people like Dean Howson probably deserve a shout as well. But Ryan Gravenberch, really good season for him, and I think deservedly so. Best signing wise, I went with Dominic Solanke of Spurs. There's not really an award for this given out, but if I was to choose best signing, it probably would be Dean Howson of Bournemouth. Now, first sacking wise, I said it would be Steve Cooper. In the end, it was actually Erik ten Hag, although Steve Cooper did get sacked pretty quickly as well, so I'm not too shocked about this one. Not really, I'm going to take that as a win. But that is the awards, and as you can see, the only ones I got right were some more first sacking was close enough. But ultimately, it was a really, really poor prediction on awards. I thought Arsenal would do really well. It kind of steamrolled the league a little bit. And Odegaard was injured straight away. He let me down. Their team let me down a little bit. So my predictions slightly went missed. Let me know what you thought of my predictions originally. Go check out the video if you want to. And let me know how you would have reacted to this. Do you think I made a shocker on a few of these? Do you think I was stupid, the original thing, to predict a team as low as I did? And what would your predictions look like for next season as of now? Yes, there's going to be transfers. Yes, we're going to talk about all of them on the Sportologist podcast on Spotify, so definitely give that a listen if you haven't already. Check out all my How to Fix videos because there's going to be more coming out. We're going to be fixing new teams such as Chelsea, such as Spurs, so watch out for that. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.